Hey there, this is Natalie, and honestly, this video is not going to turn out like I originally planned at all. See, I noticed a few people mentioning Euphoria in comments on my videos about Redo of Healer, and so I thought, yeah, I've heard of that. It's that super extreme one that broke Sydsnap. I'll have a watch of it for the memes and do a video talking about the experience. So, yesterday I binge watched the full 6 episodes of the anime, and I'm saying anime here to avoid touching YouTube's no-no square, but you know what it actually is. And strangely, my verdict is this. I really want to know more about the plot, so I'm going to play the original visual novel. I had heard that the anime is by far the worst way to experience the story, but to be honest, I wasn't expecting that to be an issue. I was just looking to it for something messed up to weird myself out with and have a laugh about. But I actually started to find myself kind of intrigued by the plot and the mysteries of what was going on, despite the fact it's pretty impossible to fathom from the anime, where it seems like each episode is covering different routes, and it's hard to tell what continuity there is or what the actual meaning of some of the stuff that's shown is. Basically, I came away from the anime thinking, this is probably a visual novel I'll like. And I'm not into any of the extreme stuff it's notorious for having in it. So why do I think it's good? Well, because even the first scene sets this series up as a horror. And by watching it with the expectation that it's going to be something in a similar vein to Saw, rather than something I'm supposed to think is hot, all of the extreme, gross or disturbing stuff fits as part of a horror experience. Now, I am a bit more jaded than most people when it comes to the more hardcore aspects, because I did make a living as an erotica writer in the past, and while my novels were more just normal isekai and sci-fi type stuff with lots of lewd bits in, I got to know the industry and writers who did a lot of the more taboo stuff. And you do develop a kind of professional desensitization to other people's extreme interests. So even the stuff you find completely disgusting becomes just another niche market. I kind of liken it to how a dermatologist might look at a weeping sore and just be like, that's interesting. I'm just saying that because I don't want to downplay how extreme that aspect of Euphoria is, and I do think that the natural reaction from most people would be that it's pretty cursed. But if you treat it as a disturbing horror series and stop worrying about whether or not someone is getting off to the bits you find most disturbing, then the reaction of feeling shocked and horrified is basically what you engage with horror fiction for. So ultimately, it's doing a good job if it's traumatizing you, right? I actually think in a way, the choice of what's included in the more extreme scenes is quite clever. You see, when people think about writing lewd stories commercially, at first there's often this rookie mistake of thinking you want to just cram in many and varied acts and scenes to appeal to the broadest possible audience. But actually, that doesn't work, because whatever a given audience likes, they're as likely to be put off by things from outside of their particular interest as anybody else. So that kind of dog's breakfast of all the kinks you've ever heard of ends up appealing to no one. Instead, you stick with a niche and never throw in other highly niche things in one given story or series, so your audience can trust that you won't throw in something that will kill their enjoyment. Now, Euphoria goes totally against this by having every taboo thing you can think of in it, plus some vanilla scenes, plus some not quite vanilla but pretty tame stuff. And this works because it's a horror. There will be scenes that appeal to almost any tastes. As I said, there's even some fairly vanilla romantic scenes to ensure that even the broadest audience is going to find some of it acceptable to enjoy. But equally, there will be stuff that will be uncomfortable for almost anyone, because the person who's into absolutely everything shown and doesn't find any of it at all messed up is a rare one. For most people, the horror aspect will be there. It's just what balance between being hot and being horrifying the series strikes that will change depending on the preferences of an individual viewer. So I'm going to reserve judgment on the actual plot and writing until I've played the visual novel, and I'll make a video about that when I've played it. But I just really wanted to talk about the anime and how, even though I don't think it's a good adaptation, because it makes no sense, what it did reveal was enough to make me think that this could actually be an interesting horror, and that really subverted the expectations I had about it going in. I can only apologise that this has been yet another calm analysis video rather than the funny freak-out reaction I kind of wanted to make, but honestly, I think Euphoria is kind of good, and that it's worth talking about why. I guess recommend me the most messed up anime, manga or visual novels you've seen in the comments, and we'll see if we can find something I won't think is just interesting. There will be a follow-up to this video once I've played the visual novel, but for now, thank you for watching. A huge thank you to my supporters on Patreon who are shown on screen right now, and I hope to see you again very soon.